Hi everyone, it's Susan Lester Bryan here from Lester's Farm Market, checking in because we are just days away from our last frost date, supposedly anyways. So here in Newfoundland we can get frost right up until Father's Day, which means we always suggest to wait until after Father's Day to begin planting your annual flowers. So to help make your lives easier, because I know we want to get out there, we want to get that color into the garden, I'm going to show you through some of our greenhouses so that you can start planning what you want to put in your garden or your containers, because once you get in the greenhouses, it's so easy to just pop everything in all the colors, and then you get home and you're like, well, now what? So we're here to help you. We have fantastic staff here who will help kind of guide you if you have any questions, and they'll help give you some suggestions. And in the meantime, when it comes down to it, it really is just all your personal preference and what works in your space. So let's start talking about some of the flowers. So again, I'm gonna be walking through some of the greenhouses each day and highlighting what we have in there so that when you come in, you know that greenhouse number 4 is where you're going to find your herbs and your veggie plants. You know that in number 1 is where you're going to find your lovely shady characters and more. So stay tuned and let's get started. Okay, so in number 1, as I mentioned, this is our shady character area. And by that, I mean, we have our nonstop begonias. They're lovely, little pop of color. We have our New Guinea impatiens. Looks like tropical little blooms on them. Great for shade. And by shade, I mean, 4 to 5 hours of sun. And again, remember, like, Newfoundland is really part sun anyway, so the lack of sun we do get here. So don't be afraid to add these bright little pop of colors here into your garden. So now I want to show you about nonstops. So nonstop begonias are beautiful in raised beds, containers, gardens, planters, hanging baskets, you name it. And the tricky part is that there's actually a front and a back. So when you're planting, you want to make sure that you don't put the back side, which is kind of like, there's usually a bald spot there, as you see there, and there's no blooms there. There's one starting, but it's going to face forward eventually. So you want to make sure that you plant the blooms facing outwards. So in a basket, you would have the backs in towards the centers. If you're going on the edge of a garden, you're going to make sure that the blooms are facing outwards. Okay, so lots of different colors. And then of course I want to talk more about these lovely impatiens. So there are 6-pack impatiens as well, which are also good for shade, but these particular ones, these New Guinea impatiens, fantastic little filler plant, great again for borders of your gardens, containers, hanging baskets, you name it, they got it covered for you. Okay, and then of course we also have some beautiful hanging baskets here. So we have our nonstops, we have our impatiens, and lots of them, lots of different colors. And what's really neat is that we have these ones that have the color on the bottom too. So these ones, they're not going to trail down, but at least this way you're getting a little extra pop of color. And I know right now there's not a whole lot of blooms on them, but keep in mind you want to have it so that there's going to be continuous bloom. So it's okay to get flowers that aren't fully bloomed at this point. Okay, now over here I'm going to show you some other great options. So this is a lovely little blue flower. Now this one actually likes a bit of sun, a bit more sun than the other fellas. Okay, it's called Evoluvis. And then these ones here are also good for shade. This is called Browilla, or Browilia, whichever way you say it. So there's a blue, and there's also a white. So again, a nice little filler. Okay, a little bit more airy, not quite as sturdy as your nonstops, but still gives you that nice little color into that shaded area. And then I want to briefly talk about our hanging bags, because you'll find those in a lot of our greenhouses. So these are great for on fence posts, gates. They're fantastic for vertical color and flowers for you. So lots of different colors in this greenhouse. There's a lot of red, some coral colors. All right, let's go see another greenhouse. Okay, so we are now in greenhouse number 2 at our Brookfield Road location, and this has a lot of our thriller plants, I want to say. And I say that because look at these beautiful dahlia blooms. So dahlias are a fantastic flower to give you height, especially this one. Look how tall that is. And also pop of color. They're pretty unique blooms and they're pretty show-stopping. So that's why I like to say that they're the wow factor in your container or your gardens. Lots of different color options for you. And they do quite well in our climate here. And lack of sun. So although it does say full sun, we've definitely seen them thrive in areas that only get like 5 to 6 hours of sun. But of course, put them into full sun and they'll do that much even more for you. Okay, so lots of dahlias. in here, now I had just showed you some New Guinea impatiens, but there's actually sun patiens. So you see that over there with the yellow and the green? So that's called sun patiens. Now, despite their name, they can actually handle a bit of shade and sun, which is very, very interesting and great for our... Come over and take a closer look. So for those of you who have a really hot area in your garden, these will do fantastic. They can hold up in the hot, hot heat. So say you have an area with the southern exposure all day long, these ones are definitely a go-to for you. So again, just look at how nice and bushy that is. Okay, and again, they'll get really nice and covered with all of the blooms, very show-stopping. And then of course we have some more lovely hanging bags here for you. And this is called polka dot plant. This is a great little foliage that, of course, we have the pink, we have the white, and then there's kind of a reddish color one down there. They're great to kind of have in on the edges of your pots because they do like a bit more shade. So if you're putting them kind of close to your dahlia, then your dahlia is going to kind of giving them that little shade there, and they'll thrive into that. And technically they can also be a house plant too. And then up here I want to talk about some fuchsia. So bell fuchsias, as you may know it, have this lovely little bell that starts to open up. Here's some of the hanging baskets of them that we have. So they're usually kind of reds, some purples, red and purple, some whites. Great for a part sun area. And they're good in containers. I like to kind of put them on the edges because sometimes I do find where they have those the bells that are going to kind of drop, you want to give them lots of space to do so. So you can put them into your own hanging baskets or on containers, just kind of put them on the side so that then you can see these beautiful blooms kind of on the side dropping out for you. Okay, let's take a look over on this side. So these are called Gerber daisies, and you've probably seen them in bouquets. So some of these you probably could actually grow and cut for bouquets, but for us, we like to use them into your containers and into your gardens. This daisy-like bloom, okay? Mostly reds, oranges, yellows, and they're just starting to pop out now. So with the help of some more sun, we'll see all of these popping up even more, and they look fantastic. Now I would say, because they do get thick at the bottom, you want to make sure that you give them lots of space for them to grow. And then there's another flower down here I want to show you. This is called Angelonia. This is better for full sun. And just look, so it's so unique. Well, unique for this greenhouse, I guess. So the blooms are going to come up through. All right. So that would be a nice little one. You want to make sure that wherever you put it to, it's going to be able to show off all of these. I love how this one has the purple and the white onto it. Okay, let's go see some more. So here is greenhouse number 2, and let's check out the next one. We're now in greenhouse number 3 at Brookfield Road. And this greenhouse, aside from having our lovely little succulents that are great for little gifts that you may need to give for Father's Day, teachers and your gifts, something like that, or just a little gift for yourself, this is where you want to come. Look at these adorable little planters that we have. Little llamas. Those little head ones are always cute. And of course, for the cat lovers, we have one of those too for you. Okay, now let's take a closer look as to what we have here. So in number 3 is where you're going to find most of our 6 packs. So that means, here we go. So in this, there is 6 of them. So you're going to want to pop them out, and then you're going to have 6 of these wax begonias in this case. For planting of those, it's best if you kind of do triangles. Triangles we find into gardens will give you a nice little pop of color, and they're going to get nice and bushy. So don't plant them as close as they are into these pots, because of course they're going to grow bigger, a little more wide than they are tall, but you want to make sure that they have lots of room to grow and flourish. So wax begonias are great for shade. Lots of people use them for borders, for containers. Then we have our 6-pack impatiens. So they have the very similar flower to the New Guineas and the sun patiens, just a little smaller. And these are what are in our hanging bags. So just look at this pop of color. All right. Okay, come on over on this side. So again, we have some lovely hanging bags here. And up above us, we have petunia wave baskets. So petunias are fantastic. They need full sun. They are heavy drinkers, heavy feeders. So they're gonna want a lot of water. You're gonna wanna fertilize them quite often so that they flourish to their best. So first up, this is alyssum. So alyssum is going to get lovely little purple or white flowers on them. Stay nice and bushy, great for the edges of your, again, your containers, your gardens. Over here is celosa. It will eventually have this kind of little fuzzy plumes up on the top. Trichotania or Nicotiana. These are a bit taller. These are one of the taller 6-packs that we have. They're mostly reds, pinks, whites. There is kind of like a greenish color one. Over here, Portulaca. I love it just because of the name, but also the texture of this. So I love how that leaf gives you a different kind of texture into any container or garden that you're gonna put in. This is the annual phlox. This is what the phlox looks like there. Again, just some more options to give you those extra little pops of color. Maybe you have a last little spot in your garden that you're trying to fill in. 6-packs are a great way to go. These are snapdragons. Let's see if I can get one of them to snap for you. There you go. Little snap. Okay. Next ones, we have salvia. Love the red color one. And then this is ageratum. So there's some white and some blue. I personally really like the blue because it's so hard to get a true blue in a lot of the flowers. You have your pansies and your violas, and these ageratums are another one that give you that pure blue, which is always nice to kind of mix in, especially if you're going for a mixed color basket. And Dusty Miller. Oh, I love Dusty Miller. So this is another one that's just foliage, but it's really soft and it gives you kind of that little piece. So if you have a lot of different colors, always great to put in some silver or some white to help kind of calm things down. Calendulas. So even if you're not putting together a mixed garden, calendulas you can actually use to make your own soaps, candles, a few different other things. So you can use their oils for them, so you can grow them, and then at the end of the season cut off their blooms, and there you go. Cosmos, nice tall ones. A lot of people will use these on the back of their gardens because of their height, of course. Okay, come on over on this side. So again, we have our lovely little succulents. Coleus, another little shade lover. Lots of different color to their leaves. So just because it's leaves, it doesn't mean it has to be boring. As you see, there's lots of options. We have this orange kind of one. Then we have some mixed ones. Now, coleus don't like to have their feet wet, we like to say. So make sure that you're not going to drench them wherever they're going to. All right, just look at that. Love it. Okay, keep on coming down this way. And up above us still, we have some lovely petunia baskets, still have the hanging bags, and now we're at zinnias. So just love these ones too. So these you've probably also seen as cut flowers. These particular ones, they don't get quite as tall, or the stems aren't quite as strong to have a cut flower from them, but they do love a sunny area, and similar to the coleus, they don't like to have wet feet. But what I do really like about them is how bright they are, especially the yellows. So I always find that a lot of the yellows in other flowers are kind of like a bit more muted, or they're mixed with other things. But zinnia yellow and zinnia orange is something that's very, very vibrant, which is of course always nice to see, especially after all the fog that we've been getting. Okay, so here's number 3. So far we've seen number 1, 2, and 3. And so come on back tomorrow and we'll walk through some other greenhouses.